Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the Pattern Design Circle podcast. I am so excited to be here chatting with you. It's one of my favorite things to be able to share and connect with you this way. And if you're listening to the podcast, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I occasionally hear from folks and they're like, hey, yeah, I've been listening to your podcast for a while. I've implemented these strategies. And I'm like, what? That's so cool. That's so amazing. I don't hear from folks listening to the podcast very often. So if you want to let me know you're listening and if you're enjoying, I would love to hear from you at Pattern Design Circle on Instagram. Anyway, in case you missed the last episode, I think I'm sounding normal right now. Maybe, I'm a little congested. Anyway, in case you missed the last episode, I am a bit stuffed up, so I apologize. I hope it doesn't make me more annoying to listen to. But I'm tired of sitting around waiting for it to go away, so I'm recording. And like I mentioned last episode, since I like to batch create, I like to record several podcast episodes all on the same day. That means you're gonna be listening to this voice for several weeks. So I apologize in advance. I appreciate you hanging out and continuing to listen. I absolutely hope that you continue to find the content valuable as well. So without further ado, this conversation is all about honoring the seasons of business and of life and leaning into them rather than trying to fight them. So if you're not familiar with the idea, I don't really know if it's a formulated idea, but the concept in general is that we have different phases of life and business that we go through. And most of what I know about this is absolutely 100% from my personal experience. I do have somebody who's been my mentor in the past who really leaned into this idea of different energies and seasonalities and encouraged me to really pay attention to that. And I really have found it so helpful. And so I wanted to dig into that a bit more with you today. So really what I want to talk about is the fact that a lot of times it feels like we're supposed to be a certain kind of person as a business owner, as a designer, as a marketer, as a content creator. And it feels like we're supposed to be this kind of person all the time. But the truthful honesty of life is that we have emotions, we have hormones, we have things that happen in life, and we go through a lot of different phases and sort of themes throughout life. And so first of all, it's okay if you're feeling off, you're feeling like you're not the person you think you should be, which that's a whole nother side tangent, of course. Where if you feel like you should be or need to or have to be doing something just because other people are saying it or showing up that way, I strongly encourage you to question why and question if it's actually the right thing for you to do. don't follow blindly. Make sure that anything that you put shoulds on are because it's aligned with you, because it's aligned with your goals. And that doesn't mean that all of our shoulds that we follow through with are easy or comfortable. There are absolutely things that I have on my should list that are things that I say, yes, I should, I really want to, in order to achieve my goals, these are things that I should be doing. They are specific strategies that I've chosen because they align with me and I know that they will help me with my goals. They are not because somebody else has said, this is what you have to do to be successful, because there are thousands, I have no idea how many, different kinds of methods and strategies and things that folks online are saying you should and have to be doing in order to be successful. My theory is that yes, most of those work. No, you don't have to be doing all of those. Probably want to choose a couple that feel in alignment, because it's helpful to be working with strategies that you know actually work. But you don't have to be doing all the things. You don't have to be doing just what somebody else says. And if there's a piece of it where you're like, all right, this really feels in alignment, this is really going to get me towards my goals, but this piece doesn't actually feel right to me, consider how you can make it feel right to you. Okay. Sorry, that was a whole tangent on shoulds. But this conversation is really about when we have different emotions or seasons or themes. So for example, my mother's out there. I know that there are several of you here. You are very aware with the fact that there have been different seasons in your life. Most likely there's been a pre-motherhood, at a very, very minimum. I would venture to guess there's been a lot more than this. But for example, your pre-motherhood or pre-parenthood experience, season is a bit different than now parenthood. There's different priorities in your life. There's different sort of things happening in your routine, and probably shifted kind of the way things work, and that has probably affected multiple aspects of your life. And then even once you're in parenthood, there are so many different phases of a child's life that you also experience as the parent. You experience them in infancy, and then you kind of adjust into this new season of being a toddler, and then growing into an older child. And then, of course, we have preteen, teen, and growing into an adult. And all those different seasons require different things from you. You have different priorities, you have different concerns, and your routines and the things that you're partaking in are going to be different for those different stages of parenthood. And so I feel like that's kind of I don't know, I hope that that's kind of an obvious sort of example. Other examples, like for myself right now, I feel like I'm kind of in this season of a lot of travel, and I really love it. I really enjoy traveling, but I'm kind of struggling with navigating. All right, I tend to travel for a couple weeks at a time. And now the last couple times I've traveled, I've been sick for at least a week when I got back. Um, and then how does this look if I'm doing, if I'm doing like I'm not home, I'm not in my business for 3 weeks every couple of months. That's totally kind of changing the balance of what my business looks like, how much time I have to spend in it, and how I'm scheduling things like that. So that personally right now is kind of a season that I'm in. You know, it doesn't feel like I've gone on that many trips, but it feels like I'm going over and over and over again. So like a year ago, I was in Europe for a couple of weeks, and then I don't know, we were gone for a long weekend a couple months later, and then a month after that, we were gone for another longer weekend, maybe closer to a week. And then the next month we were gone for almost a week. And then the next month, my in-laws were here, and so we were taking care of them. And we went on a, I guess it was just a day trip with them, maybe a couple day trips. And then the next month was US Thanksgiving time, and we went to my family for a couple of weeks. And then anyway, it just feels like it's constantly like there's not so many big trips. I went to Europe a year ago. I went to Vietnam earlier this year. Every time we go see family, we're usually there for 2 to 3 weeks because they live a long ways away. And so we just got back from, well, actually, so this podcast is, I'm recording it after we got back. It was supposed to go out before while we were gone. But anyway, we just got back from 3 weeks away because we were with my family, surprising them for birthdays. And then we had the In Tandem photo shoot for Collaborative Magazine that I'm working on for Knit and Crochet. And then we had time with my in-laws, and I came home and I was sick for 2 weeks. So anyway, this is all just kind of an example of this is kind of a season I'm in where it feels like, all right, this is very different than the season I was in for 2020 through first half of 2022, where obviously I wasn't traveling a lot, not at all. And so really kind of, all right, accepting that this is a season that I really enjoy. This is a part of life that I love. And now how does this fit into my business? And rather than trying to fight it, trying to set unrealistic expectations for myself of, okay, I'm going to get all this stuff done while I'm on vacation. I'm learning it's a lot better to lean into it and say, okay, I'm going to be gone. What's most important to me, and how am I going to get these things done? And really setting realistic expectations that way for myself. Then in our business in general, we have so many seasons as well. We have seasons, and these can be, I don't know, they can feel like shorter seasons, like maybe a month or two, or they might be longer seasons, like several years. And this is true for business stuff. This is true for life stuff. But there are seasons where, I really, what's the word? I really want, I really desire, crave, I guess, like connection. It's really important to me in some seasons that I'm really connected to other people, especially in my business, and that I have sort of this like support system that's really valuable to me. And other seasons where that doesn't feel quite as important. And so really being mindful of those seasons and leaning into them, and realizing, okay, this is a season I'm in. This is something that's really important to me. This is how I'm going to handle it. This is how I'm going to address these needs that I feel right now. And we also see this in kind of like marketing strategy kind of thing. That's like, all right, this season is a season of audience growth. This season is a season of really nurturing my audience. This season is a season of maybe really sharing my product, really getting the word out there to share this new thing. And that's not to say, obviously, we want to be doing all of those kinds of things all the time. Those are all very important things. But we do kind of have these seasons where it's important to us to really kind of focus in and lean into what we're needing, what our business is needing, what our life is requiring of us. And so I guess I want this to be a message of knowing you're not alone, and knowing this is totally normal, and encouraging you to lean into these seasons. Ask yourself, what do I need in this season? What is most important to me? What are my non-negotiables in this season? What am I willing to let go of? What am I not willing to let go of? What are my goals? And listen to yourself. And now my little caveat here is sometimes when we do this, we can kind of fake ourselves. We can be like, well, I really just need a lot of rest in this season. And yes, that's a very, very, very valid season. But I know from experience from last year, sometimes maybe we kind of get stuck in that, or like kind of keep convincing ourselves that's what we need when that isn't 100% what we need anymore. Or maybe it wasn't 100% what we needed to start with. And so really, really listening to ourselves, checking in with ourselves. And here the most important thing is to be honest with ourselves. Um, Sometimes the truth can hurt, and that's maybe especially true when it's conversations with ourselves. And so really asking what am I needing in this season, and what does future me need out of this season? What are kind of the things that I need to take forward? And so I found that like the end of last year, I was very much in this. I had surrounded myself with people who were very much of, mindset of self-care and really taking care of yourself and rest. And when I say that, that's kind of ironic because it wasn't like I was super taking care of myself from a health perspective. It was like, all right, I'm just not going to set so many expectations for myself. I'm just going to hang out in bed longer because I feel like it. And again, there are seasons when that is extremely valuable. I was past that season. That season had expired, and I was lingering there. And still not like it was multifaceted reasons, but really understanding, okay, what do I need in this season? What does future me need? Because I was so focused on that season that I wasn't thinking about, or I wasn't seeing the fuller, bigger picture. So sometimes we're in seasons where it's like, okay, I really need this. So we focus on that, and that's valuable and important. But we still do have to do certain things for future seasons. So to set us up so that we're ready. And so that means, okay, focusing on this season, leaning into this season, being okay with this season, being what this season is, and also still having some sort of balance. And so what I'm really trying to refer to here, or trying to say here, is okay, there are seasons of slowing down. That doesn't mean you have to stop. I know for myself, um, it's typically not healthy for me to stop for more than a few weeks. Because after that point, I'm just like, all right, I really kind of get into a lazy mode where I build some habits that, sure, they're kind of enjoyable in the moment, but they don't help my mental health. They don't help my sense of accomplishment. They don't help my sense of purpose. They're really not benefiting any of my long-term goals, and they're hurting me more than they're helping me. But it's easy to can be like, oh, today I just need some rest. I need to just hang out on my phone and play some games because that's what feels really good today. And, so I guess in these times of self-reflection, it's a matter not so much of what feels good, like comfortable today, but what feels in alignment today. What and maybe kind of just like really checking in on those big picture goals too, because burnout is real, overwhelm is real, hustle culture is real. There are so many things, there are reasons why rest is important. And I'm sharing this because I specifically used my example of I was hanging out in this season of rest too long when it wasn't really supposed to be a season of rest anymore. And so I don't know, I guess I just want to say, make sure you're aware of the fact there are seasons. Different things happen in life. We go through ebbs and flows. We go through different energies. We go through different priorities. And that's okay. You don't have to show up as the same kind of energy, the same kind of person in all of those seasons. It's okay for you to change and evolve. Absolutely. As a parent, you have to change and evolve. If you didn't adjust your schedule for a newborn baby, that would be problematic. And so maybe my message is just to grant yourself the grace to honor those seasons, to recognize them for what they are, and to lean into them, to not fight them. I know we are so prone in our society just to push through things. Especially, for folks who have a 9-to-5 job that they have to show up for every single day. You just keep showing up regardless of the season. And for those of us that are business owners, we have a huge privilege in that we can, if something traumatic has happened in our life, something that's really strongly emotionally affecting us, and we're not going to be productive anyway, we can allow that to be as it is and to step away from the business for a day. And so just give yourself permission. This whole business, business journey, life journey, being a human, there's so much evolution and growth and so much that we experience. And I just want you to lean into who you are, lean into the season, learn how to work to help yourself instead of work against yourself. Don't be working to push yourself to show up exactly how you always have if it's just not going to work, if it's not in alignment anymore. So whatever season you're in, I hope you've acknowledged it. If you haven't yet, take some time now to do that, to recognize what season you're in and recognize what you need in this season, and recognize what you want. And I guess a big thing for me just recently has been, recognizing what I want, what feels comfortable, and then also recognizing that self-discipline is still important. It doesn't mean that we have to push ourselves to do things that aren't aligned, but we do still have to do things that we don't necessarily want to do, that are uncomfortable, but that we know are going to help us so much become who we want to be, to have the business we want to run. And so that's where it's so important to know our mission, know our purpose, know our goals, and then hopefully we can see how this season of life is really leading into those bigger goals, and how we can lean into the season, how we can lean into our mission and our purpose and our goals today and this season to really move towards that bigger picture. So whatever season you're in, again, honor that, recognize that, and lean into it. Give yourself the gift that you need today. And sometimes that gift is a kick in the pants. Sometimes that gift is, all right, we're going to get stuff done, because I know I'm going to feel so productive at the end of this. I'm going to feel so accomplished. I'm going to be so glad that I've got something done. And sometimes that gift is, I'm going to take a nap today, because I know if I keep showing up like this, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to not show up with my customers the way I want. I'm not going to show up with my family the way I want. I'm not going to be the person that I want. And so, really understanding all the different sides and aspects and lean into it. Alrighty. I hope this was valuable. I hope that it's reminded you that you do have seasons, and that's perfectly normal. That's perfectly okay. Lean into them instead of against them. All right. I'll talk to you later. Wow, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.